Jimmy here, Ingrained to Train, kicking off week 2, 12 weeks to speed. And really, I'm just going to review week 1, things that I noticed, things that I want to work on in week 2, and also how you can implement some of the exercises into your program. So let's start with what I noticed. Some good things. I felt my legs getting back underneath me as the time went on. I was feeling, springy again, feeling bouncy. Just felt good to be running around, doing a lot of athletic moves again. So I'm pretty excited about the progress that's coming. Some weak points that I noticed: my left ankle that I sprained a couple years ago that I didn't really rehab. I just kind of went about my day-to-day activities. Well, that's really weak. So I'm going to probably spend a lot more time this week, probably maybe every day, doing the ankle exercises with the bands just to try to get it back up to speed where it needs to be. I also noticed that my right leg is way more dominant than the left leg. So consciously, I need to be aware of pulling with my left leg a lot more whenever I do double leg exercise, whether I'm jumping, whether it's squats, deadlift. So I got to be more conscious about that, because the right leg is going to do its thing. That's my normal firing pattern. So I'm going to take extra energy, extra time to focus really on contracting and pulling with this left leg to try to balance things out. And as an athlete, as you go on in your strength training and you're doing things, you're going to notice weaknesses about yourself to work on, and that's going to be your accessory exercises. It's going to be things that you do to build yourself up to balance the body out. All right, because that's how a lot of athletes get injured, overuse injuries. They dominate. Some muscles are too dominant and they're overactive. Other ones become weak, and then eventually at some point something gives out. So we want to be a balanced athlete, build that foundation. All right, so my goals for week 2, I'm going to extra focus on the left ankle, a lot of emphasis on the left leg in general whenever I'm doing double leg exercises. And you're going to notice that a lot of the exercises this week are going to be similar, but I'm going to progress them somehow. These are going to be heavier weight, maybe a thicker band, maybe add some more chains, something to make it more difficult, because each week I want to get stronger, so I want to progress each week. And as an athlete, that's to be your focal point in training. One problem that I see too often is that coaches and trainers who don't really understand sports performance make athletes do the same thing over and over and over again without really progressing their workouts, and wonder why they don't get stronger, why they don't get faster. Well, that's why. It's all about progression. All right, so pay attention. It's going to be subtle details. I'll make sure to put it in the subtitles so you know what to look for, how I'm going to make my workouts more challenging this week. Now, for those of you who watch the videos and are motivated, you say, Jimmy, my gym doesn't have a prowler sled, or I don't have box jumps to jump on. What can I do? So I want to give you a couple tips that you can do. One, for the plate drag, say you don't have a sled, or your gym doesn't really have room for plates. Here's what you do: go to the hardware store, get yourself your own chain and clips. They don't cost that much, not very expensive. Find a junkyard in your area, or maybe like a body shop or a local mechanic. Get you some old tires. You can use that, drag those outside. All right, it'll be the same effect. All right, all you want is some resistance that you're pulling. So used tires would be great. I know a former NFL player, Ike Taylor, who recorded one of the fastest 40-yard dashes ever. That was what he did in the South. I read an article about it. His uncle made him drag a tire. And then as he got stronger and faster dragging the tire, his uncle would sit in the tire. And you could apply that same philosophy with a lot of the weighted drags and the walks. Just go get a tire. If you need to make it heavier, have somebody sit in there, or you can take bricks, put it inside the tire, sandbags. But you kind of get where I'm going at. You just want extra weight. So used tires are a great one. Another one that you can use, or if you have a sled, get a sled. Again, get a belt, get a strap, attach it to the sled, and then just put heavy stuff in there. Have somebody sitting there, throw some bricks in there, some books, anything that's weighted. If you got extra weights, whatever, just to make it heavier, and you can drag it outside. Okay, so some simple do-it-yourself options there. Same thing with the pushes. If you don't have a prowler sled, same concept. You could push. You could get like a snow sled that you use in snow. Put some weight on there, push it. outside, or in the gym you can just put a plate on the ground and you can push it across the floor. All right, if it doesn't slide that well, if you got like a little carpeted area, you can use furniture sliders. Take the furniture slider, only a couple dollars at the hardware store, put a plate on top of the slider, and you can push it that way as well. So a couple do-it-yourself methods there. Bands, they're not that expensive. Go online, go to EliteFTS.com or RogueFitness.com. You can get a good set of bands for less than $15. I mean, they're really cheap now. So that's an investment you're going to want to make, because as you see, you do a lot of banding work. So go online, find the bands, bring them to the gym with you. All right. As far as the reverse hyper, again, if you couldn't set up the way I set it up, you can do reverse hypers on a Swiss ball. Take a Swiss ball, put it on the bench. You just essentially want your feet to be off the ground so you can swing your legs back up. So a high table would work. You get a bench. I mean, obviously nothing's as good as the machine, but sometimes you got to use what you have. All right, you can attach ankle weights to your legs, bands. You hold a dumbbell between your legs, or if you have a partner, they can resist you with their hand as well. So there's different ways you can do it. Again, sometimes you have to be creative, think outside the box. There's a couple do-it-yourself methods that you can use. I hope that helps. If you need any more ideas, reach out to us. See what we can come up with to help you out. All right, so 12 weeks to speed, week 2. I'm excited, and we're gonna definitely make some good progress.